Richard Ellis here with columnist Bob Robb, and we're talking about Governor Ducey's proposed flat tax, which, Bob, you say A, is not really a flat tax, and B, and I hope our viewers are sitting down for this, you're proposing a possible tax increase to sort of offset or make the budget, I guess, more prudent. So let's unpack this slowly. First of all, the flat tax isn't a flat tax?
It is not, but it's a good, solid movement towards that. And I do believe that flat income taxes are better for future economic growth than sharply progressive ones, like the way Prop 208 left the state. But this is a two-bracket proposal, and it's and the second bracket is being a little bit misconstrued. There is, for those who owe income taxes, and a lot of people don't owe income taxes at all, there's a 2.5% flat rate. But for those making over $500,000 as individuals or $1 million as a couple, there is a 4.5% bracket. And the way in which the money from that additional 4.5% marginal rate is used, I think is important for fairly evaluating the proposal.
Because you say it doesn't impinge, and I guess it would be difficult, there might be a lawsuit over this, impinge on what the voters put in for Prop 208. How does the math work on that surcharge still applying?
It doesn't affect Prop 208 spending at all. 3.5% of the 4.5%, which is the Prop 208 surcharge, will go into the Prop 208 account and be used precisely the way in which Prop 208 dictates. Additionally, the budget maintains general fund support for K-12 education, including inflation funding. So everything voters were told that Prop 208 would deliver for education is maintained in this budget. The questions about it is whether it leaves enough left over to sustain other state programs over time, or to make even additional supplemental spending initiatives for K-12 education that a lot of people support.
Yeah, and you say a really good way to look at the budget is kind of forgetting we have a surplus and just saying, what does the budget bring in terms of revenue and what does it spend? And you see this getting really close to the margins, which is why you're suggesting that there be some other revenue being brought in.
Yes, what the budget proposes to do is to take a very large surplus that's expected over this year and use that to sustain state programs as the tax cut is phased in. And if you're looking at the sustainability of state finances over time, I think you've got to ignore things like one-time surpluses and look at same year revenues versus same year expenditures. And over the 3-year budget planning horizon that's dictated by state law for these exercises, there are hundreds of millions of dollars in deficits with that kind of same year analysis. Now, that is a bit maybe overstated because there's a very, very conservative revenue estimate of just 3 to 4% growth in revenues, which is well below historical averages. And if historical averages are reached, then the deficits disappear and you might even have additional surpluses to spend. But it does skirt close to the edge, which is why I think it would be better to combine the flat tax proposal with some tax increase, in my view, preferably of consumption taxes, to offset, perhaps not fully, the reduction in state revenues, provide a better cushion for the sustainability of state programs going forward. And if it's done in combination with the tax cut from the flat tax, it can be done by a simple majority vote. If it turns out that a compensating tax increase is needed later and it's considered as a standalone measure, that requires a 2/3 vote. So both substantively and politically, I think it would be prudent to at least partially offset the tax cut with a compensating tax increase.
Right. Have this legislature, you're suggesting have this legislature act now in this manner to sort of ease the burden on what could be a difficult task for future legislators. And this is coming through pretty quick. Do you see any impediments to the Ducey proposal as written in getting through the chambers?
I think while there is very strong support for the proposal within the Republican caucuses and by Republican leadership, there is also pretty strong opposition and pretty large opposition. So I think politically it's going to be a reach to get it done, even though I think net overall it would be beneficial for the state. But given that the Republicans have made no effort at developing a bipartisan budget, and if you wanted to go the flat tax approach, bipartisanship wasn't within the realm of possibility. It's just not an idea that Democrats support. You can't lose a single Republican vote in either body, and that makes for highly difficult politics. And I would be surprised if it gets resolved very quickly.
Right. It could be a long legislative summer. Thank you for breaking that down in your inimitable style. See you next time.
Well, thank you.